Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Winkelman and I am doing debate number 4, side B, which is that due to the human rights abuses and bombings in Yemen, the United States should not continue to support Saudi Arabia with weapons and other military help. My reasoning behind this is that I'm very much a non-interventionist. I don't think that the United States should be involving itself in 99% of the conflicts that it does around the world. It causes more chaos and dissatisfaction with the US. So now maybe the Houthis in Yemen wouldn't hate the US as much as they do if we didn't intervene in the first place, but instead we have a huge enemy, huge meaning intense, not in size, enemy in Yemen. And we already have so many different enemies in the Middle East, so why cause ourselves to have another one? And we don't necessarily know that the Houthis would hate us as much as they do if we didn't intervene, but it definitely doesn't help our case that we did. I also don't think that the U.S. is really helping the civilians of Yemen by intervening, because it's just causing the rebels to push harder because we are there. And we also, with our drone bombings, our mass bombings in Yemen have caused hundreds, if not thousands, of casualties. And it's really just not a good situation that the U.S. has really caused. And then in regards to supporting Saudi Arabia in that region of the world, I think that it's a good idea to help Saudi Arabia because they supply a lot of our oil and they're a good ally to have. We don't have a whole lot of allies in the Middle East, so having Saudi Arabia protects Israel, which is our biggest ally in the Middle East, and it helps us create better partnerships there. However, it definitely causes some dissatisfaction with other nations, such as Iran, who is one of Saudi Arabia's biggest adversaries. So by our involvement in that whole conflict between Saudi Arabia and Yemen, us backing Saudi Arabia and all of their debatable war crimes, it's not helping the situation. So that's definitely a problem. And then, of course, the human rights abuses in Yemen is, we don't know that it wouldn't be happening if we were there, like I said to something earlier as well, but it's definitely more intense because we are there. The Houthis are trying to maybe show off a little bit. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but show off a little bit so that the U.S. sees that they're serious, and so that the Houthis are trying to hurt as many people as possible because the U.S. is there. So they're trying to prove a point, again, to show the U.S. that they're serious. But of course, civilians are the ones that are being punished for this situation, and the U.S. isn't really, unfortunately, doing anything about it. They're just helping Saudi Arabia commit these human rights abuses instead of the Houthis committing these human rights abuses. So there's not a huge difference between those two things, in my opinion. But I mean, definitely people will disagree with me on that. But I think that overall, it's definitely not the right decision to continue participating in the Middle East. Watching that documentary on Yemen was terrible. I mean, seeing Al-Qaeda, it was a fascinating documentary, by the way, but the Al-Qaeda and Houthis just slaughtering people in Yemen is so devastating to the people. It was crazy to see that the Houthis think that the 9/11 attacks is a conspiracy theory to get the U.S. And Israel as partners and to build their strength and partnership and relationship. That was like seriously one of the craziest things I've ever heard. I knew that the Houthis were very anti-Semitic, very anti-Israel, and anti-American, but I had no idea that they believed such craziness, in my opinion. Um, but regards to the civilians again, it's unfortunate that there's so many civilians that are basically just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They might not really be targeted necessarily by the Houthis, but there was the rally, as showed in the documentary, the rally for Houthis, and there was an Al Qaeda bomb that went off. I believe it was like drone or dropped by a plane or something like that. And it was really just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, not hundreds, but tens of people died. I think it was around 70 or so, just by being at a cafe that was near the rally, even if they weren't partaking in the rally. So that really has not helped the situation either. Just the innocent civilians that are being killed. It's really devastating. I think that the U.S. is being seen as imperialistic, which I agree with, and I don't think that's the way that the U.S. should want to be seen. And if it continues to engage itself in this conflict and conflicts around the world, such as this one, these different civil wars and terrorist-ran countries, I guess you could say, the U.S. will continue to be seen as this, and it will continue to hurt the reputation of the U.S. and continue to cause dissatisfaction and potential retaliation against the U.S. So that's my take on it. But I definitely am willing to hear out the other side as well. Thank you.